It was a typical Wednesday afternoon in Los Angeles. The city hummed with life. People moving quickly down the busy streets, cars honking, the occasional siren wailing in the distance. Inside one of the cozier cafes, nestled in the heart of the city, the atmosphere was warm and relaxed. Soft jazz played in the background, and the clink of coffee cups and the gentle murmur of conversations created a soothing ambience. Johnny Depp, one of Hollywood's most famous stars, was seated at a corner table near the window. He wasn't in the mood for a grand entrance today. In fact, he preferred the anonymity that came with slipping into places unnoticed, blending into the crowd. Wearing a worn leather jacket, his signature wide-brimmed hat, and sunglasses, he hardly looked out of place. The kind of celebrity who didn't need the spotlight to feel good. The waitress who served him, a young woman named Rachel, greeted him with a smile. She'd worked at the cafe for a few months now, and though she was still getting the hang of the job, she had a natural warmth about her that made her a favorite among the regulars. She took Johnny's order for a coffee and croissant, and as she turned to walk away, she was stopped by a sharp voice from across the room. "I think we're ready to order now, sweetheart," a woman said in a biting tone. The couple at the table looked irritated, their patience clearly wearing thin. Rachel, used to handling a variety of personalities, approached their table with her usual grace. But before she could even say a word, the woman continued. "Finally, what took you so long? Do you think we're invisible?" Rachel, a little flustered, apologized. "I'm really sorry for the delay, ma'am. We've been a little busy today, but I'll take care of you right now." The man at the table snorted. "Busy? There's nobody here. You must be the slowest waitress in the city." Johnny, overhearing the exchange from his seat, felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He watched as Rachel's smile wavered, but she maintained her composure. The couple, however, seemed relentless. The woman shot a nasty look at Rachel, who was simply trying to do her job. "Unbelievable," the woman muttered. "What kind of service is this? Do you even know how to wait on people?" Rachel's face turned slightly pink, but she remained polite. "I'm really sorry. I'll make sure to get your order right away." It was at that moment that Johnny Depp's demeanor shifted. He was no longer the quiet, unseen figure in the corner. He stood up slowly, his eyes locked on the couple's table. He took a breath and started walking toward them. The couple, noticing him approach, immediately stiffened. They recognized Johnny Depp instantly. The woman's eyes widened with surprise while the man's face flushed. Johnny stopped just short of their table, standing tall and steady. "Excuse me," Johnny said, his voice calm but firm. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. I think you've made your point." The woman's face flushed with embarrassment, but she quickly tried to regain her composure. "Mr. Depp, it's nothing personal. We're just frustrated." Johnny held up his hand, signaling for her to stop. "Frustrated?" he said. "Listen, everyone gets frustrated, but there's no reason to take it out on someone who's just doing her job, especially when they're doing it well." The man, clearly uncomfortable now, attempted to brush it off. "Look, we didn't mean to cause a scene." "You didn't mean to?" Johnny said, his voice cool but full of conviction. "You've been insulting her for the past few minutes, making her feel small in front of everyone in here. No one deserves that. Not Rachel. Not anyone." Rachel, still standing by the counter, felt a rush of emotions. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't expected someone to stand up for her, least of all Johnny Depp. Her heart raced, and a sense of gratitude washed over her, even though she wasn't sure how to process it just yet. Johnny turned to her and smiled warmly. "You're doing great, Rachel," he said, his tone softening. "Don't let people like this make you feel less than you are. You've got this." Rachel, a little shocked, nodded in disbelief. The couple, now thoroughly embarrassed, stammered for words but didn't say anything more. They awkwardly stood up, grabbing their coats and hurrying toward the door. As they passed Johnny, they didn't even make eye contact. Johnny, meanwhile, turned back toward Rachel, giving her a reassuring nod. "Don't let them get to you," he said, before returning to his seat. The entire cafe had been watching. The tension that had lingered in the air melted away, replaced by a quiet, appreciative energy. People started murmuring to one another, exchanging glances. Some had witnessed the entire exchange, and they couldn't believe what they had just seen. It wasn't every day that a superstar would intervene in such a way, especially not for something so simple as standing up for someone who was being unfairly treated. Rachel, still standing there, took a deep breath. She hadn't realized how much she had needed that moment. She had worked so hard to keep a smile on her face every day, despite the rude customers and the long hours. But today, Johnny Depp had given her something far more important than a compliment. He had given her the strength to stand up for herself. He had shown her that it was okay to demand respect, and that her worth was not defined by how others treated her. Over the next few minutes, customers who had seen the incident walked up to Rachel to offer their kind words. "That was really cool what Johnny did," one regular said. "I don't think I would have had the guts to step in like that." Another customer added, "You're doing a great job. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Johnny finished his coffee, paid for his meal, and made his way to the door. Before he stepped outside, he turned and gave Rachel one last look. He smiled, his eyes sparkling behind his sunglasses, and with a small, friendly wave, he said, "Take care, Rachel. You're awesome." Rachel stood there for a moment, trying to process everything. She felt a mix of emotions, gratitude, awe, but also a newfound confidence she hadn't known she had. She had been seen, and not just as a waitress, but as a person, and it felt like the world was just a little bit brighter. As the door closed behind Johnny Depp, the cafe returned to its peaceful hum. But for Rachel, nothing would ever feel the same again. She walked back to her station, a quiet smile on her face. She had learned something important today. Sometimes all it takes is one person to make a stand, to change the course of a whole day, or even a life. Johnny Depp had been that person for her, and she would never forget it. And so, the day carried on. Johnny Depp, the quiet man who had stepped into the fray, moved on with his life. No fanfare, no grand speeches. Just the knowledge that sometimes doing what's right in a small moment can have a ripple effect far beyond what anyone expects. As for Rachel, she continued to serve her customers with a newfound sense of pride and strength, knowing that she was capable of handling anything that came her way. And who knows, maybe next time she'd find the courage to speak up for someone else in need, because as Johnny had shown her, kindness and respect are always worth standing up for.